Hey, welcome back. Been doing a little trail running, and I wanted to talk about barefoot trail running. Now, even though I'm barefoot, this also works with barefoot style shoes, minimal shoes, barefoot style running sandals like Luna's, and yeah, I will say first off, it's a little challenging to run and talk at the same time. It's gonna sound like I'm out of more breath than I am, only because I'm having to change my cadence to talk, which changes my breath. So just keep that in mind. That's not how you're gonna breathe, but it is good to start out with talking about breathing. So I like to say with running, only go as fast as you can go while keeping a nice even breath. It's best to breathe out of your nose, and if you're noticing yourself getting tired, stop, slow down, because if you're able to stay in your breath through your nose, you'll stay calm, your heart rate won't go up too much, you'll be relaxed, and you won't use too much energy. So what's interesting about barefoot running is I always hated running, and it wasn't until I started doing the barefoot thing that something totally shifted. And I realized, to me, in the way I like to run, it's more like dancing. So when I'm running, I'll show you a little bit here. I'm going uphill right now, so I'm more on the ball of my feet. But depending on what you're doing, whether you're going down or up, your foot placement is going to change. And when you're running barefoot on a trail, every step is going to be different. So I'll show you now. Notice this trail here, right? It's winding. We can look at my feet. And I like to have a little bit of a lean because that helps me to create momentum. So I lean just a little bit forward. And I also, people think when you're barefoot running, you're looking straight down. I actually like to look ahead a little bit, and I'm aware of what's coming, right? I'm aware of the obstacles that are coming, and I can anticipate them, which is super sweet. Okay. Flies flying in my ear. So, a few things to consider when you're just getting into barefoot running, if you're used to running in shoes or not. As always, my number one information or advice, take it slow. You might feel good when you go out and be surprised and end up pushing yourself far, and then you might pay for it later. So, run for 5 minutes. I was talking to a podiatrist yesterday who specializes in like barefoot minimal stuff, and he's like, run for 200 meters. That's 2 football fields when you start. That's not that much. But just get into it slowly, and in the long term, you'll be happy. Because if you push it too hard, when you start, what's gonna happen is you're gonna hurt yourself, likely. I don't say you will, but you have a chance of hurting yourself. Whereas when you start slow, ease into it, your body gets used to it. Because if you're used to running shoes, it's a whole different type of running. It uses so many different muscles and bone action in your feet, and even just getting used to the ground. Just that alone is a whole thing, right? This to me is a pretty easeful barefoot trail, and if I start running again, I'll see that my feet are not my feet are not moving, jump over this, that much, right? I'm actually not lifting my feet off the ground too much because it's a lot of energy and a lot of pressure to be doing these like long lunges, which you see most runners. I'm almost just like scooting by, and it might seem silly or odd because you're probably not used to it, But I can tell you right now, it's gonna save you a lot on your feet. You're gonna use a lot less energy. You're gonna feel better. So if you're noticing, I've got my heels are not striking like you would in shoes. And just to show you slow, the ball of my foot comes down first, boom, and then my toes and my heel almost simultaneously, and then it's in reverse as I come up. Boom, right? Boom, reverse, up, boom, making sure every foot is planted securely and firmly before on to the next one. And another piece, now I'm showing you on the uphill, which is maybe kind of silly to do because a lot of runners don't actually run uphill. When I first started training for my Barefoot Marathon, I was running uphill a lot. I was like, this is not easy. And then I started watching documentaries and learning about runners, and runners in general on trails, except for the super elite ones, they often walk uphill, and then guess what? They run downhill. So we're gonna talk about that in a minute, but first, I mean, check out this view. Washington, you're beautiful. So there's a lot I could say about barefoot trail running, but what really shifted for me is being a dancer and starting to utilize, when I dance, I'm using my whole body and I'm moving and having fun. I'm smiling, having a good time. So when I started shifting the energy from running, which felt like this grueling, frustrating thing to me that I never liked, and I started making it more of a dance where I was light on my feet. Oftentimes my arms either dangle, or if they're up, they're not stiff. I have nice loose shoulders. And if I notice my shoulders are stiff at all, I just drop my arms as I'm running and I kind of wiggle them and just stay really loose. And in that way, so you're over here, sometimes I'll just run like this. Not this like stiff, jagged, whatever. And then when I want to start swinging my arms, I can swing them to gain a bit more momentum. Another cool thing about running is that when you first start in any kind of athletic, physical thing, you'll probably notice that you're getting tired really quickly. Now, what I find is if I allow myself to break through those first 10 to 15 minutes, something changes. I relax, I calm down, I tune in, and then I get over that first sort of hump, and I get this wave of energy, and I get to just fly. But if you quit in those first 10 or 15 minutes, and almost every time I go running, it happens to me. I'm like, oh, why am I doing this? I was excited, but now I'm out here, I feel sore, or blah, blah, blah. But I get through that, I relax, and then that runner's high starts coming, and you start feeling that flow. Now, I don't want to say that this way of running is the only way. There's a million different styles of running. And the most important thing is I can't teach anyone barefoot running. I can show you the things I know that I've learned, but your body teaches you how to move. When you're barefoot, because your feet sense so much, they're telling you how to step. If you're stepping too hard, you notice something feels off, just tune in. Maybe you need to make a little bit of an adjustment. Maybe you're like, wait, I'm a little bit too bent. Another big thing I found is bending my knees, right? I want to have a little bit of a lean, especially when I'm going downhill, and my feet are basically just lifting so I don't fall. And that's kind of a interesting thing I can show you as we go downhill. I have a slight lean. My knees are bent. See if you can see. My knees are actually almost overly bend them just to see how it feels, because runners are used to running more straight, more traditionally, right? But I bend my knees. I have this little bit of a lean, and then what my feet are doing is they're lifting just enough so that I don't fall over. And it's that momentum that slowly takes me down the trail, which to me is just super cool. And going down, that's the fun part, right? You work on the way up, whether you try to run or just hike up, and then we have a little bit of an incline. And you take it nice and slow. You don't want to go too fast. You can still injure yourself or trip. I've actually never fallen once, which is crazy. In the years that I've been barefoot and barefoot running, I know a lot of people that fall in their shoes because they trip over them, but my feet are so aware. I'm not focused on a certain distance or how fast I need to go. I'm just having fun, smiling, dancing. And look, this trail's got some rocks on it, but my feet, they mold to the ground, right? They mold and move and mix. And I go slowly down. Like I said, your body will tell you how to move, and you'll be happy you did it.